Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I'm getting right back into the scam series like I always do. Again, some of you may like this content, some of you may not, but let me tell you something. For those of you who aren't watching this content, I guarantee many of you are getting scammed. This content that I'm producing is going to help you avoid those scams. See, on this channel, I'm not looking for your cash apps, not looking for subscribers. I'm not looking for a bunch of views. What I'm here to do is educate you on what has taken place. And tonight, it's no different. But what you need to know, if you're looking for an education, because I know in the black sector, you get some of the African American women coming out saying how educated they are. They may be educated, but I guarantee you, a number of them have gone to for profit colleges. So tonight's title and the topic is for profit college deception, or the deception of for profit colleges. Now, what are for profit colleges? Well, for profit, they are businesses. To me, many colleges are for profit. Now, what makes these types of for profit colleges different than your state universities? You have individuals that have stock in these colleges. You have to look at accreditation. See, a while back, there were colleges out there that were diploma mills. And what they were doing was they were awarding people fake degrees. Now, what for profit colleges do, and they're not all bad, but there have been a number of them that have settlements. I'll name you a few. Kaplan. Well, Kaplan was bought by Purdue University, my alma mater. DeVry University, headquartered in Chicago. They've closed a number of branches down. They have settlements. Westwood College here in Indiana, one of the biggest institutions. They're no longer around. They're known as ITT Institute. Argosy University, Corinthians. I know Grand Canyon University, they applied to be nonprofit, and they have a basketball team. One that you don't hear about too often. In fact, the Cardinals, I forgot the University of Phoenix. That's it, the University of Phoenix. I know quite a few people who went there. Strayer University, all these colleges, they're for profit. Now, is the education the same or is it different? It just depends. But the bottom line, when it comes to the financial aid, a lot of these students end up in debt, and some of these for profit colleges always promise 100% job placement. You must understand that when it comes to any college and university, a degree is only a minimum requirement to get a job. Certain jobs have that. It's not a guarantee for the college to get a job. Now, they can be used as a resource if you have individuals who are teaching in the field that you're pursuing. Now, let me share my screen and what I'm going to talk about. We're going to go inside the scandals of or we call it for-profit education, and it has been under scrutiny. And again, they're so focused on profits. These schools, here's what they do. They mislead a lot of students and they take students into big debt. This is why you have students who have major college loan debt. Let's go to a scenario, and this is a true scenario. And I'll post this link in my comment section. Well, Christina, 40 years old, served her country and then went to a for profit school thinking that she would get a free education. Let me stop you there. First of all, no education is free. Now, if you're in the military, you make a certain rank, you can get a lot of college credits. But even the college credits that you get from the military, they may not transfer into courses that you would take in college. It just depends on what they are. Well, Christina again served her country thinking that she was going to get a free college education. Instead, she got stuck with a $40,000 student loan debt and a degree she regrets pursuing. Now, she requested her last name to be withheld for privacy reasons. Now, after she served the Navy from 2001 to 2005, Christina earned her degree from community college using the benefits that you get in the military. It's known as the GI Bill. And basically what the GI Bill did was cover all of her tuition costs. Now, she still wanted to gain a bachelor's degree, though, and the only option that allowed her to take classes while working full time was the for-profit University of Phoenix, which gave her the flexibility to take classes remotely. Now, again, the University of Phoenix enrollment has fallen. They're extremely high. The RIE is extremely high. And this is where these schools will rip students off. Well, instead of having 16-week classes, they will have 8-week classes. So that means if you're going for a bachelor's degree and you take 12 credits, or they're not 12 credits of 16, they're not, or 12, they're not 4 classes of 12 credits or 16. What they are 8 credits, and they tend to be a lot more expensive. But you had a number of people that went to even Everglades University, a lot of these colleges out there, and you need to be aware of these colleges. What are they offering? I've been seeing lately Walden University, Kaplan University. Now, this is where some of these so-called educated people in our race, they're going to these schools because the schools are online. But it doesn't mean the degree is cheap, doesn't mean the degree is any good. Well, getting back to Christina's situation, despite actively recruiting veterans, Christina said the university would not accept her GI benefits, forcing her to take on student loan debt. Now, again, in the article, states that they've heard from military folks, they served their country. It's very common. But when Christina was stationed in San Diego, they would always reach out to her and she would say, I didn't have the time to go to college all the time, but it's something that she wanted to do. Now, again, I can tell you this because I even took some graduate classes at DeVry University. Not that it is a bad university, but they will hound you. They have a lot of individuals that are trying to sell you their school. And one of the degrees that they tried to sell me on when I looked at undergrad was technical management. What could you do with a degree in technical management? It's more like a technical business degree. And a lot of people have business degrees. So basically, business degrees, technical, now if it's an engineering technology management degree that's accredited by ABET, that has engineering and management in it, or engineering management, that's one thing. But technical management, business administration, those degrees are saturated. Now, Again, Christina's experiences are not uncommon, especially when it comes to the for profit education industry. Now, for decades, for profit institutions have been under scrutiny over allegations of misleading students at what they do. I just mentioned, they engage in excessive, I mean, excessive and aggressive recruitment tactics and leading many to take on student debt when it was often not the best option for them financially. Some of the major players, I just mentioned one here, ITT Tech and Corinthian College, they have been shut down for bad behavior. Now, if Christina hadn't sought to further her education at the University of Phoenix, she said she would like no or very little, she wouldn't have any student debt or very little student debt. Now, if you're going to go to college, try to find a community college, get an associate's first, like here in Indiana, go to Ivy Tech, get that, and then transfer to a 4-year institution. You will escape a lot of debt. Now, Christina, during this time, she was serving during 9/11. It's frustrating that the university recruited us and then they wouldn't allow us to use our GI Bill benefits. That's manipulative because most colleges allow students to use GI Bill. I used mine. Now, for profit schools are reaping profits while leaving students with a great deal of debt. Now, again, the goal for any business, for colleges, because I believe all colleges are for profit, whether you like it or not. Some just have greater tactics than others. But the goal for profit institutions is right in the name, profit maximization. And oftentimes they will accomplish that goal through every avenue possible, leaving their students worse off than they started. Carolyn East, higher education senior fellow at the Century Foundation, told Insider that many for profit institutions get 90% of their revenue from federal student loans, making it very easy to hand those loans out to students. These are taxpayer funded businesses that are reaping profits while leaving students with a great deal of debt that they have trouble paying off. Now, as she said, that the primary problem often occurs in the recruitment stage. Christina's experience with what she described as aggressive recruitment tactics is a key characteristic of many for-profit institutions. That's the stage where they often get caught misleading students to boost enrollment. Fast said that a reason for intense recruitment is because there is a lot of money at stake when it comes to the federal student loan program. Federal money is coming in as a big incentive, unfortunately, for companies to try to maximize enrollment to maximize their profits, Fast said. And there's less common or is less concern about whether people are going to benefit from the program or whether they can be able to pay back their debt. Again, institutions have engaged in outright deception at the expense of students. So, over the past decade, lawmakers and advocates have been heightening scrutiny over predatory practices for for-profit colleges. Again, over the last decade, now the lawmakers and advocates, they're now looking into these universities because they have predatory practices. And these for-profit colleges have engaged in predatory practices. Fast said those practices can range from outright deception to misrepresentation of program cost and benefits. And that's why you come here to the scam channel, because I put this information out there. Now, for example, here's what they do. Telling people that they're going to be able to take credits and transfer them to other programs, when in fact, it is not possible in some cases to transfer credits from a for-profit program to, let's say, a public program, he said. Or people might be told they're not going to have to pay anything and that they are going to be fully funded by the federal government when they're taking out customers' loans. In some cases, legal action has been taken against schools accused of misleading behavior. Now, back in 2016, the government cut off ITT Tech's access to federal student loans, causing it to shut down shortly after. And while the University of Phoenix never admitted any wrongdoing, it agreed to a $191 million settlement with the Federal Trade Commission in 2019 for allegations of fraud and deceptive marketing. But the industry is continuing to recruit students each year, and lawmakers want the education department to ensure impacted students get relief they deserve. Borrowers who were defrauded by for profit schools have the option to file borrower defense to repayment claims, which is intended to forgive their student loan debt. But the claims ran up a huge backlog under the former President Trump. Now, President Joe Biden has taken steps to approve more claims and give the fraudulent students over $3 billion in relief, but lawmakers have stressed that the process needs to be sped up and the executives responsible for the alleged fraud need to be held accountable. Now, Education Department has failed to make good on its promise to defraud borrowers to defrauded borrowers. Again, the U.S. Department of Education themselves, do you really trust them? They had $458 million missing themselves. So, do you trust them? Again, they failed to make good on their promise to defrauded borrowers, and it's time for swift and broad action to right this wrong. And this is what a group of lawmakers have said. Now, I'm just going to say this. Just going to say this. This is a scam just like everything else. And what these scams do is they get you to make a decision that you're not ready for. In other words, they sell you a big pot of gold. But in the end, it's not a big pot of gold. It's fluff. And I'm not knocking education. Education does cost, but there are ways you can get it without having student loans. And of course, student loans are big businesses themselves. Financial aid is a big business itself. But one thing that the article didn't mention is you have some schools like Alameda University and other universities, again, that they try these same tactics. They had false degrees and they got caught. They shut down. See, the problem with for profit schools is a number of them really didn't look at the accreditation. And it has to be regional accreditation, not national accreditation. So when it comes to college, don't be so hasty to go if you can't afford it. Go to a community college. Now, I'll share my screen again, and I'm going to get into some of these videos here on some of these big scams. Now, even though this is an old video, it's still happening today. We're talking about colleges now. Fair use. This is for educational uses only. And again, you got to look at who they're targeting. The big market is these single mothers out here, especially when you are at home during the daytime, you don't have a job. You see a lot of these school commercials come on. I remember Brown Mackey. They had a Brown Mackey right off of 65 here in Lafayette. They had one in Michigan City. Those schools are closed. They had South University. And a lot of these courses from these universities, they're all online courses. And this is what you have to understand about online courses. A number of them might not be real from these for profit universities. Some of them are. The best thing you need to do is number one, don't get sucked in by recruiters. See, these recruiters are very tough because what these for profit colleges are looking for is numbers. It's just like going into the military. The military, they dress things up if you're enlisting to make everything look good. But when you get in the military, it's not as good as it seemed on the outside before you were recruited. And again, it is a numbers game. Let me get some more information to you. Here is another one. Fair use for educational purposes only. again, here's what you have to do. You have to use a little bit of common sense. You can't let yourself get taken. And this is what the scams do. They get to your emotions, so you're going to make an impulsive decision thinking that you are going to get something real good, and in the end, they're scams. I have one more video to show you because this topic is not only interesting, it is a real topic. And there are a number of individuals out there who are getting scammed. And again, the target market are desperate individuals, and they look at single mothers as a prime target because, again, they don't have a job, greatest job. Some of them do, but a number of them don't. This next video will tell you why for-profit schools are scams. Fair use, fair use. And there you have it, the deception. Now, if you look up the information in the first video, or the second video I'll put up, I think it may have been the second video, where you had an accounting major. That accounting major was a accountant, I mean, as a cashier at Mickey D's. He had somebody working at Wally World. So you know that's deceptive. So you're spending all this money and you're getting a job for $8 an hour. And again, because people are desperate, they were painted a pretty picture by these for-profit schools. Now, again, for-profit schools aren't the only ones who do this now. Regular colleges do this as well. And I'm gonna get into them too. I'm gonna get into jobs too. This is what you have to do, and take my suggestion, because I know I took a few courses at DeVry. Now, I'm not saying everything about DeVry was bad, but they had a settlement, and they were telling the students that you're guaranteed a job when you get out, and they got sued for it, and some of their branches closed down. Again, you had Argosy, you had Westwood College, ITT Tech, University of Phoenix. Um, there's Stratford out there. There's Strayer out there. Corinthian out there. Even Johnson and Wales at one time used to be a for-profit school, but a long time ago, back in '63, they applied to be nonprofit. And again, when you are for profit, what they really want to get from you, because the big money is getting students to borrow money, because the school is going to get paid with the student loan money. Meanwhile, the student is going to have a big debt on his and her hands. Now, I know the Biden administration was talking about the loan repayment program. Well, if you have $100,000 of debt, he's not going to give you a repayment program to pay $100,000 of debt off. You might get lucky with $10,000 of debt. But what I'm putting out to you is, don't be so hasty to go to college if you're not ready for college. Uh, there are other options. You can go to college after 4 years in the military. If you're in the Air Force, they have the community college of the Air Force. You can go right on base. Now, of course, in the Coast Guard, the Army, the Navy, and the Marines, it's a little tougher because you deploy a lot more. However, with everything out there now, you have a lot of online courses from regular schools out there. It is much easier to get a degree while you're in the military than it was when I was in. In fact, there were hardly no online schools. Maybe Trenton, used to be called Trenton State University, which is now Thomas Edison State College in Trenton, New Jersey. But other than that, not many of them have been out there. No, Old Dominion had some online classes, or they were satellite classes where a student had to actually go to a military base, and the classes were remoted in via satellite. Now they're all online. They're using Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle. They're using all kinds of education interface to get people classes. So why do you need to go to a for-profit school? To me, like I said, most of your colleges are for profit. They're just putting their money into different areas. Like if it's an online school, like Argosy and Corinthians was, well, where they're putting their money, they're putting it in their platform. Well, when you go to other schools like a Penn State or Purdue or Ohio State, oh, you don't think they're making hand over foot either? Oh, they are. They're just putting in those big stadiums. They're paying some of those recruits to play football for them and basketball for them. Listen, education today has gotten to be more of a scam and indoctrination. It's about the money. Everybody knows it. It's a business. Are some of the tactics shady? Absolutely. But if you want to go to college, I'm just going to say this: start at the lowest level, go to a community college. In fact, a community college has it. Of course, regular colleges have them as well. Just take a few classes, be on the payment program. See, like I said, with these for profit colleges, you're going to pay a hell of a lot more money, and your degree not going to be not going to be as good. The instructors aren't going to be as good for the most part. Because these colleges aren't about teaching you, they're about taking your money. Yeah, they have a platform where the courses, instead of full 16-week courses. I know DeVry, they're 8-week courses. So you might pay $5,000 for 2 courses on the master's level. And when those courses end after 8 weeks, you got to kick out $5,000 more dollars. So for one semester, yeah, you have 4 classes. You're paying a lot of money for 4 8-week classes. And you can end up in a hole, especially when you go to graduate school, because the higher your degree, the more money you're going to put out. So bottom line is, be careful what you ask for. Don't let these recruiters get you into a place that they're going to make you feel bad because you don't want to come to their school. Tell them no. It's your money. And I bet you some of these recruiters, they get a cut if they recruit students. They get a big, I know they get a cut. But again, the bottom line with any business, it's for profit. And guess what? Besides learning, education is a business. And there's scams that go along with business because of business practices. Because in the end, education with its business model, just like everything else, crony capitalism, because it's all about the money for the fat cats. Everybody who's getting the crumbs, you're paying the crumbs right back to the fat cats. Because again, education is all about the money, not learning. If you don't believe me, look at how many people owe a lot of debt. Education is no different than Walmart. It's no different than these oil companies. It's no different than Kroger. It's no different than politicians. They're all in it together. Why? Because they're greedy. And to them, they're grifters. And I'm going to do a video on grifting. Because once again, education is nothing more than another money scam. Because the people who are involved in it, they're getting enriched by your desperation. Because education, it's not just an indoctrination. They're in business to take your money. Why? Because it's all about the money. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. Check out my second channel, the QCIS channel, if you're looking for some science, technology, engineering, and math. And after I record all of my videos, you can find these videos up on my Twitter page. Now for the QCIS channel, I take it one step further. Also find that channel on my LinkedIn page. I'll be doing some QCIS content tomorrow, so come on back to my second channel. But in the end, always be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. And I forgot to tell you this before I go. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. Now back to this. Thank you for listening to this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. You'll have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.